From Careco TV, one of the longest running outdoor programs on television today. Exploring the country and the coast in search of adventures. From the mountains of the great Northwest to the shores of the Atlantic Ocean. This is Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin. This week on Americana Outdoors, we're with Wade Middleton in the great state of Texas on Choke Canyon Reservoir as we learn more about how to fish a frog for big largemouth bass. Frog fishing is a great way to fish that nasty cover that bass like to hide in. So let's get out on the water and trigger some explosive bites.
Topwater fishing has to be one of the most popular ways that people love to fish. Now, topwater fishing can be pretty frustrating for a lot of people because you're going to have a lot of massive blow-ups and you're going to get some swings and misses. And frog fishing is without a doubt one of those ways to get a lot of big, huge blow-ups and set the hook and the bait just comes flying back by your head with nothing there. But I also would argue that seeing the blow up is as good sometimes as getting the hook set in them. Number one, you can lie to your buddies on how big the fish is. Number two, it's just being able to visually see that explosion. We're going to talk a lot about frog fishing, understanding the when to throw a frog, why to throw a frog, how to throw a frog, which frog to throw, and some of the gear and line involved in frog fishing so that you can help hopefully make some better decisions next time you have a chance to tie on a frog for a particular bass fishing trip. God, he came a long way to get it. Come here, buddy. Golly, that sucker. Woo. Easy there, cowboy. You're not very big, but you are mean. You came from a long way to get it. Think about those frog bites. A lot of times you can see them coming. I actually was speeding it up right there so that I could catch up and make another cast out there. And I saw that fish swirl out of that grass. I didn't think he'd get to it before I got to the end of that hole, but he sure did. I don't think he's that big. He just got ahead of me in the grass. Come here, buddy. Man, that's fun. That is fun. How can you not like that? How can you not like that? You know, it's just kind of watching them as we hit this little pocket. I mean, this makes sense. If you were to look at this from the air right now, you'd see big piles of grass all the way around, broken stuff up on the bank, and between us and there, it gives a lot of holes and lanes for these fish to be able to set up and target. And we had one stick, and by that stick, kind of figured there's gonna be a hole. And sure enough, there was a bass right by that hole. And he decided that he liked our old SPRO flapping frog, and we put the 1-2 to him. That one, that's a good one there. Golly. Stay on there, baby. Yeah. Just dropped. Well, we've had 3 little bites that have totally whiffed it, and then this guy here just choked on that flapping frog right there. That's fun when they eat it like that. That's what you're trying to do. That's fun right there. Woo! The SPRO Flapping Frog 65. This is a new bait. We basically got to see it for the first time last year Took it out, did some field testing, and was amazed at its ability to skip, amazed at its action, amazed at basically just how it feels. I mean, when you squeeze one of these, it has the most unique feel of any bait that I've ever found in my life. I have probably now caught 35 to 50 fish on it. I've lost count. I don't know how many blow-ups that I've actually had on it. I'm gonna say I'm into the hundreds now. You can cover a lot of water with this particular frog. And when I hook these fish in it, I mean, I haven't even sharpened these hooks at all. What happens a lot of times is the body of the frog slides up the line. So I've got nothing in the way when I'm setting the hook and fighting those fish to ball up or cause me, to lose fish. And this particular flapping frog, I've got to say, has proven to me to be one of the most dynamic reeling flapping frogs that you possibly can find.
Coming up, we're heading back out on the water for day 2 of learning more frogging tips and tricks here on Choke Canyon Reservoir.
You have a full-time job and you want to be a full-time angler. Don't waste time scouting. You want to catch fish. That's where Garmin comes in. Our mapping with Navionics data lets you see more detail than the fish do. It's kind of a big deal. Oh, and our industry-leading live sonar is so crisp and clear you'll think you jumped in. You're welcome. Now if only we had a powerful, efficient, whisper-quiet trolling motor. Actually, we do. It's called Force. We knew you'd like that. Less time finding, more time catching fish. Only with Garmin.
When there's miles of water in front of you and hundreds of feet below, you need a boat with the chops to dominate, no matter the conditions. With the strength and technology to overcome the elements and the competition. Ranger Boats, still building legends, one at a time.
Welcome back to Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin.
Come on. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. That's a gorilla. And I mean, he choked it. Look at that bass right there. There we go, darling. Thank you, fish. I knew there had to be at least one more in here. When you catch a good one, there's usually more. Boy, I had you hooked good. These hooks on these frogs are so sharp. Sharp hooks are a key when you're throwing these frogs because you're gonna bend them a little bit, throwing heavy duty braid and jerking big fish out of brush, and it's just how it's gonna happen. Big line, big rod, big bait, big fish. So when it comes to looking at line for frog fishing, there are definitely differences out there. I've said it before, there's no need to throw fluorocarbon, there's no need to throw mono, you need to throw braided line. So for me, the Sun line, whether I'm using their, SX2, their frog and fishing type line, or their new Agassi line that they've got here, that's what I'm gonna go with. Now, I will change line sizes. 30, it would be the absolute lightest I would go. I typically throw 40 to 50 most of the time, up to 80 if I'm trying to throw something like a gliding frog deep over hydrilla lily pads and cover like that. Pay attention to the quality of the line, what you're looking at. I mean, this is going to be my most recommended line. You can see I've knocked a hole in there. I've already used so much line off of it. It's going to give you the ability, I believe, to cast it a little farther. Has zero stretch. It's very hydrophobic, as they call it, which is a new word for me, but it basically means it sheds water. Some of the older braided lines don't have that. They get a little heavy. They kind of expand due to that, which is going to impact your ability while you're out fishing to be able to make longer, more accurate casts. Rod selection when it comes to frog fishing, boy, I was misled years ago. I thought I had to use a rod about that big around and had no give in it. And at the end of the day, heck, at the end of an hour, my arm would be hanging down to the end. I was exhausted. But I thought years ago that's what I needed to do because, you know, when you got a bite on a frog, you had to cartwheel him across the water. Well, what happens when you use a rod all the time built like that, you get very little action and you get fatigued. Since as time has changed, I've gone to about a 7 to a 7'4", depending on the frog, depending on the conditions, medium heavy to heavy action with a tip. I want a tip on there that's gonna give that bait some action. There are times, don't get me wrong, where I will beef it up if I'm in heavy lily pads making a long cast with 80-pound braid, but I've really found I've gotten better success with a frog using a shorter rod that I can work better, that's got less fatigue, that gives me more action. Golly, boy, he got me in between hands there. Come here. Good little fish. Drop the power poles. Fat little chunk. Well, these fish down here, they're just thick all the way back. That's what makes them so healthy. Looking all that green hydrilla. This is a battle-scarred, war-proven flapping frog right here. I mean, he's hooked himself about 50 times. We've got 25 or 30 blow-ups, a dozen to 15 catches, and he's still performing. Just shows you the quality of what we're dealing with.
When we come back, Wade's popping off his last day on Choke Canyon Reservoir with another popular style of topwater frogs. Stay tuned.
Your time on the water is precious. You return season after season to make unforgettable memories, fight a few fish, reconnect with friends, and recenter yourself. If you count on having this time, you need an outboard you can count on to power it. That's why boaters stay with Yamaha for the long run, for life. They know reliability starts here.
Born in Japan, using technology, innovation, and precision, Sunline produces the widest selection of fishing lines at the most technologically advanced line factory in the world. Manufactured at the strictest tolerances to produce victories at the highest levels of tournament bass fishing. From household names like Christie, Swindle, and Cruz to young guns like Cook, Logan, New, and Welcher, they all trust Sunline to take them to the top of the leaderboard. Choose the line that will give you the strength to guarantee your confidence. Sunline.
Welcome back to Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin.
Another very, very popular frog is going to be your popping frogs. Popping frog really gets its name, in my opinion, from having a concave mouth. And that concave mouth generates that plop flop, that popping sound out there that it really mimics a lot of your hard body traditional type topwater bait that has treble hooks off of it. The pop R comes to mind, but this bait here can be fished in and around vegetation, over vegetation, in and around sticks. And I like to throw this particular frog a lot of different times in the spawn. I think when fish are spawning, you can walk this real slow. You can leave it in place a lot of times, and you can draw fish off of beds that'll come up and look at it. They may not eat it, but they'll give themselves away in those situations, or they could just violently strike it as well. I also like to throw this particular frog in a white color when the shad spawn is going on. I mean, you can walk the dog with it. You can create a lot of popping, actions in those types of situations. They even come in some really small sizes like this right here. I've seen guys fish this in and around shad spawns on spinning rods because they can make a really long cast with them as well. Regardless of which time and why you throw a popping frog, it's very diverse. It allows you to cover water at different speeds and cadences, but it also allows you to leave it in place a lot of times while you're fishing. We got the little popper, and then we're gonna throw the flapper, and then we're gonna throw the Model 65. We're gonna glide and twitch. We're gonna throw all of it. That is the first cast with the popper. We got a little schoolie in there. He couldn't resist. Just covering a lot of water. Like I said, there'll be times we're gonna reel, there'll be times we're gonna twitch, and times we're gonna pop. Just keep mixing it up because there's so many different frog styles that you can catch fish with. You gotta use the right style for how the water's setting up at that time and fish what's in front of you. It's a big old bluegill. No, it's a little bass. I thought that was a big old bluegill when it first came out of the water. Key, patience on the hook set. Look the other way, close your eyes. I don't know, you're just gonna miss them. You know, we've had 4 bites this morning. We've caught 2 about that size. Gentry thought that last one was about 3 pounds over there. I couldn't, see it. It took off with it and we caught that one. So, that's not uncommon. You're gonna miss some, you're gonna swing and miss, but the thing about it is you get an incredible blow up. And to me, that's still one of the funnest things. I mean, all topwater, whether it's a hard bait or a soft bait. Missed that one. Little guy. Cooked outside the mouth. Old popper. We've got 2 or 3 different colors and sizes of poppers here to kind of mimic what's going on. I like this white one early in the mornings a lot of times, especially when there's a shad spawn going on. And I generally throw more of a darker popper, but for whatever reason, these fish have bit on this white one a few times. We've missed as many as we've caught though. As you look at frog fishing, it's without a question one of the most exciting ways to fish. It's gonna be also some of the biggest heartbreaks you're ever gonna fish. You're gonna throw it out, you're gonna see some explosions, you're gonna see some bites, you're gonna have some fish come up and you're gonna lose some. But if you can be patient, you can let them eat that bait and you turn them and you've got a high-speed reel with good braid, good hooks on there, you're gonna get some memories of a lifetime when it comes to frog fishing. It was really a lot of fun doing this and to look at all the different frogs that are available, to catch them on different styles, to get heartbroken on different styles, to see how they reacted, how I kind of gravitated when we had the wind blowing to reeling and the flapping frogs, and when we didn't, to throw a popping frog. And I wish we probably would have kept the clicker at the end of the day. How many we caught, how many we missed, and how many bad words we said when we missed some of those, because we probably would have had quite a few of all of those, but it's been a lot of fun. We were trying to get epic blow-ups, the best ones we ever can. We even got a few for you and hope you enjoyed them.
Coming up, we're meeting with some of the staff from Garmin, where we'll learn firsthand why they feel Garmin helps anglers be more successful on the water. From sun up to sundown, day in and day out, we work hard. We play hard. And to keep us going during those long hours, we demand performance. Angle Coolers, the original high-performance cooler.
When we could sell a good product to people and they get that same enjoyment that we do, I always tell them, it's like, it makes my heart happy.
At Secret Lures, our bass and passion is what inspired us to bring you the brand new Stupid Craw Kit. This kit is filled to the brim with all 5 Stupid Craw colors and 2 sizes of Stupid Tube jig heads. Whether you're a tournament angler looking for an advantage over the competition,
that right there is fun, Stupid Craw.
Or you're passing the passion for bassin' to the next generation of anglers.
There's a lot of fun stuff about fishing, but I like catching big bass. And I like just beating all the boys.
When you buy a Secret Lures Stupid Craw Kit, you're gonna turn the phrase "gone fishing" into "gone catching." Head on over to secretlures.com to purchase your Stupid Craw Kit and get hooked up with any of our tournament-grade tackle.
Welcome back to Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin. Over the last several years, we've been shown time and time again why Garmin dominates the fishing scene with their state-of-the-art electronics that make life on the water a breeze. We've invited the Garmin technical staff to shed some light on why Garmin is such a great company and give us some insight on their thoughts about the Garmin electronics that put their pro staff at the top of the leaderboards.
In my opinion, Garmin is the very best in the industry at everything we've done. Our trolling motors are the best in the industry. Our graphs are the best in the industry. Our transducers are the best in the industry. If you put all that together as a tournament angler, that means a paycheck for you.
As our products have grown, Garmin keeps getting better and better and better, and our anglers are performing better and better, and it makes it a little easier for Garmin to put product in the consumer hands because they're witnessing our pros performing at that top level and with that advantage that they're getting from Garmin. Our anglers that represent Garmin fish with our products more than anyone else, so they are the most important and the best advocates for making that product better.
Let's take a look at some of the products, starting with the Garmin Force Trolling Motor.
The trolling motor is extremely powerful. It's a brushless motor. It has way more power than it ever needs. It uses very little current out of the batteries. And as far as the noise goes, we have absolutely the best mount for a trolling motor in the entire industry. We did it right from the very get-go. Our mount is second to none, and most of the noise that you get out of a trolling motor starts at the mount. And where the mount's wearing out, it's fatigued, it's loose, on and on and on, that's just creating all kinds of noise in the water and scaring the fish.
Next up, we all know and love it, Garmin LiveScope. But let's take it a step further and learn about just how intuitive and user-friendly this mapping system really is for anglers.
Obviously the big talk is LiveScope, but the way that you can network all these units together, look at sonar screens from each one, and share that data right to your phone when you're sitting there at home, look at your waypoints on Active Captain, go through your mapping, and all that can be translated right back to your units when you're ready to fish the next day, really gives the guy an advantage to maximize his time while he's out trying to compete. And being able to look at each sonar and each graph really helps guys who are, maybe want to compare what's going on in the back of the boat. When the fishing gets tougher, the fish get pressured, sometimes they'll suck up right to the boat. And being able to jump from transducer to transducer and check, what's going on all around you instead of right up under the trolling motor while you're fishing is a big help. That's one of Garmin's best feature points to the other brands, is that Garmin is so user-friendly. When I start working through a Garmin, every menu option, every setting is right where I think it ought to be. It's user-friendly, it's easier to swap back and forth, and a guy can really navigate around these units and learn them in no time.
Garmin is always advancing. We are constantly striving to make our products better, and we're surrounding ourselves with anglers to help us do so, whether that be feedback of the product to helping us get the message out there so that anglers all around the world can learn about our products and how to utilize them the best they can.
Just as Amanda said, there are so many resources online, including our own Americana Outdoors YouTube channel, where you can watch a variety of tutorials on setting up and installing Garmin electronics on your boat to not only make your life on the water easier, but to give you an edge over the competition as well. As we all know, the best way to learn is to get out on the water and learn how these products work through real-world experience. To deck out your boat with the latest and greatest Garmin gear, head on over to Garmin.com. Hey, thank you for watching, and join us next week on a new episode of Americana Outdoors. Americana Outdoors is a Careco TV production. This episode was made possible by these partners.
Things you let me see.
TH Marine has been producing top-of-the-line marine accessories to rig boats from transom to trolling motor for decades. From jack plates to fish care to LEDs, TH Marine has you covered. TH Marine, outfitting your boat from transom to trolling motor.
We don't have a large laboratory to test baits. Why, you ask? We don't need a big laboratory because our pros fish, our employees fish, our owners fish, and our kids fish. This is our laboratory. Our R&D comes from time on the water. All that time on the water brings us thousands of hours of testing new products and improving current ones for all species. Big Bite Baits, designed to bring the big bite to your line.